Hey everybody, it's Julene with JovesStar Astrology. How are you doing today? Today is I'm recording this on Saturday, what day is today? May the 4th. Saturday, May the 4th. We have a new moon in Taurus coming up here this week on Tuesday, May the 7th. So we're going to talk about that new moon, which is really setting up nicely after eclipse season. And then, of course, full moon in Scorpio, which, always brings up stuff from the shadows. And some of you may have experienced that in a profound way. Now we have a really nice new moon in Taurus. So I'm really happy to be able to go over this. The astrology in the month of May is really shaking out to be obviously a whole lot easier than eclipse season. So a nice new lunar cycle is something that we likely all need after eclipse season. Of course, the eclipse is still, it's still giving us a few shocks here every time a planet goes through and trips off the eclipse point, which we've had a lot of since the eclipse. We had the eclipse at 19 degrees of Aries, conjunct the North Node, conjunct Chiron, and we had all the planets that are going through there since then, tripping off that eclipse point. So we had the sun there, obviously, for the solar eclipse, but then we had Venus come through there, we had Mercury come through there, and we still have Mars that's going to come through there. It has entered the sign of Aries, which is its home sign, so it's a very strong Mars, right? We're all feeling, a little strong and determined these days, but Mars is going to hit that eclipse point as well. And Mercury, our Mercury retrograde occurred during the eclipse cycle, and we still are not completely out of the eclipse shadow until Mercury gets to about 27 degrees of Aries, where it started its retrograde. And so we have a little bit to go there that might tell us a little bit more, or have that eclipse sort of kicking us a little bit on the back end. Of course, since then we had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus. I did some videos on the history of these events. That's usually, astrology is a study of patterns, and so we can go back in time and take a look at when these same transits occurred and get an idea of how it might be tripping things for us personally, as well as things that may have happened collectively. So I did some videos on that when I did the eclipse video and talked about Jupiter and Uranus. So go back and take a look. But we had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and Jupiter and Uranus together in the sign of Taurus is about big material change, right? It can be about growth. It can be about learning something new. It can be just about newfound wisdom, right? But whatever it is, Uranus, the planet of rebellion and change and shocking events and progress, wants to move us forward. Some of us may have seen or experienced some significant changes right away with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Some of us may not have. Jupiter transits take a little bit of time to unfold. So as the planets come through and trip off that conjunction point, then we might start to see some action there. And some of that's going to be occurring in the month of May. But really, a Jupiter cycle is 12 years long. So whatever's changing or starting to move forward in some way, and the change usually happens for us personally, like internally, or maybe there's a shakeup, and pushes us in a different direction. But the building of that change and moving through those changes and possibly seeing the growth of those changes can happen in a much longer cycle. And Jupiter is going to be going through a rebirth of its own very soon when the sun conjuncts Jupiter. So, we'll have some things going on here that are going to trip off that point. But we're looking at about a 12-year cycle. Although I think that during this first year, we're going to see we're really going to get a good idea of the direction that we're going. And of course, Jupiter moving into Gemini very soon at the end of the month, that could really speed up Jupiter's effects on us, because Gemini is very fast moving, or at least bring us a lot of choices, right? We could find ourselves overwhelmed with the choices or the directions that we're going to go, or all of the information that's coming in, and all of the options. So we should get a sense of what that will be for us if we haven't already during the month of May. So I'll go over the new moon chart, of course, and we'll take a look at the Sabian symbol for this new moon and talk a little bit about what what is available to us during this new moon. And like I said, it's looking pretty sweet in the sign of Taurus. And so I'm going to throw the chart up here and we can start taking a look at it. And you can see here that we have this, we can see the new moon right here at 18 degrees of Taurus. And Taurus is all about our senses and our pleasures and our pleasure, and all about the things that we want, what smells good, tastes good, and as well as the things that we need. It's all about our resources. Taurus is anything that we possess. So that can even be our own bodies, right? Which is why Taurus represents the senses. So we have this new moon, which is the earmark of a new cycle that we're starting here. And, Taurus can be about indulgence and pleasure and relaxation. Taurus can also be about work. And this can be about recharging, so we can continue to move towards what it is that we're working on in the material world. Taurus represents our income as well, so our actual tangible resources. So new cycle there will at 18 degrees Taurus. This is happening on May the 7th at 8:22 p.m. That's Mountain Standard Time, where I'm at in Phoenix, Arizona. Check your time zone converter for where you're at. It'll be 12:22 in the morning, 8, 9, 10, no, 11:22 p.m. on the East Coast. And then the West Coast will be, I'm going to double check, because I know last time I wasn't exactly sure. Like in Arizona, we don't change time. So I never really know for sure unless I have somebody that I'm connecting with in different areas that forces me to look at what the time zone changes. And I haven't connected with anybody on the West Coast lately. So let me just take a look here and see if they're an hour behind or if they are right on. No. So on the West Coast, time for this eclipse is exactly the same time as or not eclipse, I said, sorry, excuse me, new moon is exactly the same time that it's happening for me, for us here in Mountain Standard Time. So it will be 8:22 p.m. on the West Coast. Like I said, we're gonna take a look at the Sabian symbol here, but focusing in on this new moon in Taurus. Now, first of all, the moon is exalted in Taurus. So it's a very sweet, comfortable place for the moon to be in general. And the coming together of the moon and the sun, obviously, sun and the moon is obviously the new moon. And so this is really a new moon that's highlighting our sense of pleasure, relaxation, a focus on our body, a focus on the things that we need that will make us comfortable. And it is, kind of essentially, you can see Uranus is there, Jupiter coming out of that conjunction with Uranus, but Uranus is just 4 degrees away from this new moon. So we're talking about progress forward, or maybe some kind of recovery from, a change that we have experienced recently between the eclipse and the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So yeah, we're moving forward, but right now the universe is giving us a little bit of respite to sort of sit back and smell the roses a little bit. After all, Taurus is the bull. Make no mistake, bulls are strong and they can move mountains, but they do prefer to kind of like sit back and enjoy their surroundings, right? Graze a little, sleep a little, but they'll get going when there's a reason to get going, right? Or something is prompting change. And Uranus has been prompting change. Taurus gets very used to its level of comfort. It takes a very long time for Taurus to adopt habits and adapt to environments and situations. So it doesn't change. It's a fixed earth sign. It doesn't change its habits or its preferences very easily. It's very habitual, right? It gets used to something, and then we don't want it's difficult for it to change. So Uranus coming through with Jupiter there, especially if you have significant Taurus placements, it's like that Uranus is helping move things forward, make changes, right, in our values, in our needs and our wants. It's helping get us moving and get that bull moving a little bit. So that's still coming, and we're still moving forward. But this new moon is sort of inviting us to sit back and take a look at what has happened, absorb that, relax into it a little bit, recover a little bit. Take care of ourselves. Definitely self-care is like a big thing here with this new moon, until we get ready to start moving forward. Again, as the planets come through and start to trip the conjunction point, and especially when Mars comes through, Mercury and Mars, we'll start to see some things moving quite a bit quicker. But this new moon, an exalted moon in Taurus, very, very nice. For relaxing, pleasure, comfort, for planning the future, right? Planning and even saving our resources. Now, when Taurus gets into a routine, or what it wants something, it's very determined to actually get that. So obviously there is a plus and a minus to that kind of behavior. Because if Taurus has adopted a habit or behavior that is not very good for them, whether that's overspending, overeating, over drinking, not having motivation, just wanting to lay back and be lazy all the time rather than work towards building resources, then Uranus could have come through with Jupiter and said, this is a wake-up call. We've got to get moving. It's still difficult to move. So what you want to be careful of is, yes, this is a pleasurable, sensual, indulgent, relaxing new moon. Want to be careful that you're not indulging or relaxing into habits that aren't good for you. So not starting a new habit that might not be good for you, right? Not taking the opportunity to change a habit or improve something as you move forward into the future. So indulge, but overindulgence is not the best. And when we have planets like a moon, yes, exalted in a sign, it can go either way depending on our tendencies, right, and where we're at in our life. We also have Venus here, pretty much close 8 degrees conjunct this new moon. Now Venus is going to be entering into a cazimi with the sun this month as well, where Venus will come out and show herself as a morning star. Right now she's kind of behind the new moon, but she will be reborn within this with the sun as she comes to conjoin the sun, and that won't be for a little while, probably a week to 10 days. We can take a look at the calculator, but soon. But right now, Venus is conjunct this new moon. And so Venus is exalted in the sign of Taurus. Venus rules Taurus. It's one of Taurus's Taurus is one of Venus's home signs. So it's a very strong Venus. So it gives us the opportunity to absolutely accomplish whatever it is that is pleasing to us, to go after what's pleasing to us. And again, if we think about Taurus, feels good, tastes good, smells good, all of those things. And it does represent our values, and it represents our finances. So Venus in the sign of Taurus is a very good placement, along with this new moon, to kickstart a new cycle when it comes to finances and resources. So we could definitely use the extra oomph here of having these exalted planets in the sign of the new moon. Again, it's overindulgence you would want to be careful with, right? But very nice. It's such a nice new moon. I hate to even say but I kind of have to, because everybody experiences and expresses Taurus energy differently, like I said. And some of us are going to be experiencing this in areas where, they might be blind spots, right? So you just want to keep in mind that this is good for actually creating and manifesting, really, whatever it is that you want in terms of what feels good to you, right? What it is that you need. So beautiful new moon for that. We have the other aspect that we have, which is called a sextile, is from Saturn in the sign of Pisces. And that's a very nice aspect. It's supporting, Saturn is supporting our endeavors here along with this new moon. And so it just kind of, Saturn is kind of there to sort of check us and help remind us of the things that are important and what it is we're trying to build and what our true work is. And it also kind of allows us to maintain a clear vision. Saturn in the sign of Pisces is really helping us put some form to an otherwise nebulous sort of energy, right? Pisces can be very, confusing and nebulous. And yeah, it's this, beautiful energetic connection to anything and everything. But, sometimes we can get lost in that, right? Saturn in the sign of Pisces can represent making sense of loss, or working to pull things together in a more responsible way when it comes to Pisces themes. Pisces is a water sign. It is very sensitive, right? It is a very, very much a feeling kind of energy. But Saturn here, sextiling this new moon, can help us and support us in this new moon cycle. So a very nice aspect. And really, as you can see, that's the only aspect here. So it's just this concentration of Taurus energy with a supportive sextile from Saturn and Pisces. And a lot of us have been struggling with Saturn transiting through the Pisces areas of our charts, feeling like we're alone and we're confused, and maybe we're a little bit sad, or we're trying to get control of things that are a little bit messy, and, or maybe even we're a little under the weather. Think back to how you were feeling during Pisces season, when all of the planets that are now here were traveling in the sign of Pisces. A lot of us were just sort of, knee deep in water and slushing through life, and a little bit of confusion. And so Saturn and Pisces has sort of required us all to kind of pull it together, tie up the loose ends, and it hasn't been easy. So whatever we've accomplished up until this point, and Saturn is halfway through its transit in Pisces, although it is going to retrograde. So it's not quite completely halfway when you consider the retrogrades, but we're into it. We're into that transit, and so we kind of know what's going on, and Saturn can support us for whatever we've accomplished up until this point. Saturn can support how we move forward. So very nice aspect there for this new moon. There really isn't any other aspect that is affecting this. I mean, yeah, we still have stuff going on in Aries, like I mentioned. Here we have Mercury right now out of its retrograde, still in its shadow, conjunct Chiron. So this is, this is a lot about our mindset and our communication and healing that, either healing it or making it worse, right? We're either lashing out, and we could be angry, or, having, there are conflicts that we're having to deal with, or we're trying to heal because of the retrograde. We're trying to heal and communicate how we're feeling, and communicate the things that we want, or make amends from some past wounding or situation. But Mercury conjunct Chiron is giving us an opportunity to heal those wounds, right? Take some action, heal those wounds, or at least understand, talk about it, study it. So it can be this can be very, very helpful. If we choose to actually go down the healing road, right? But we still have, so we will have Mercury moving into Taurus very soon. That will be nice. But we still have Mars that is going to come conjunct the North Node. That could set a lot of what happened during the eclipse off, right? The North Node makes things louder, and Aries is about movement, and it's about going after what we want, being passionate, and it can be with vigor and aggression as well as passion. So, there's still a little bit that might be coming here in the month of May. That could be a little bit fiery, but we have this Taurus energy that hopefully will help us, help keep us grounded, right? Grounded a little bit in what it is that we are trying to accomplish as we move forward into the future. So yeah, that's the new moon. We also do have Pluto here in the sign of Aquarius that has just gone retrograde. Pluto went retrograde in Aquarius earlier this week, and it will travel back to 29 degrees of Capricorn. It won't hit Capricorn until I think it's June. When will it hit Capricorn? I can't remember. And I can't animate the chart, but it will transit. It's going to be transiting retrograde until November, and then it will move forward back into Aquarius. So it'll go to that 29-degree Capricorn place that it had been going back and forth over the last few years. So that might bring it back a little bit of seriousness into our lives, or just a little bit of going back and cleaning up some old foundations and structures, or the further breakdown of some structures before we actually can move forward into something futuristic, progressive, right? That's all what Aquarius represents. So we do have the Pluto retrograde to consider. So I'm going to read the Sabian symbol for this new moon. Now it's 18 degrees of Taurus, and we round that up, so it's 19 degrees of Taurus. So we'll take a look at it. And when I know this degree, we have experienced Uranus going back and forth over this degree several times between 2021 and 2022. And that was when we had the eclipses and Uranus at that degree, and we had eclipses going on in Taurus and Scorpio. So think back to that time frame if you're familiar with what was going on in your astrology back then. But this degree has come up before, and now it's coming up again, but it's in a newer phase, I think, right? Um, so Taurus 19, a newly formed continent, keyword originality. The theme is a fresh opportunity. This symbol speaks to the fact that experience ultimately conforms to desire and expectation. The image of a newly formed continent was described, let me get rid of this chart, was described by Mark Jones as symbolizing the raw substance of existence. And he emphasized the fact that reality is constantly being reworked through the course of successive overall cycles. And so this degree has been a part of the cycles here that we've been experiencing for the last few years. And maybe this is a signification that yes, things are coming back up, themes are coming back up, but because we have had the Jupiter and Uranus and we're moving forward past that, and now maybe we can create something different with what has been newly formed. And maybe there has been a little bit of back and forth with something in our lives. So through the course of successive overall cycles, the implication here is that experience expands awareness, and with each new realization or understanding of reality in any given situation, man is called upon to make adjustments or reestablish himself and look for new opportunities. At its highest, this symbol represents creative and sweeping vision with the potential to transform the world. Negative would be restlessness and inner turmoil or difficulty in learning from experience. So, I mean, there's huge opportunity here for peace, right, out in the collective, for us to sit back and take a look at the things that have been shaken up and the foundations, or the processes and systems, or that have been torn down, shaken up, whatever's going on. This is an opportunity for us to sort of lean into it and try to go forward with a peaceful type of resolution into the future. I mean, we have the Jupiter that I showed you, the Jupiter Uranus. It's in the sign of Taurus, and Venus, which represents peace as well, and Taurus is material world. Well, we see what's going on the campuses of universities, right? We are seeing protests, peace protests, and Jupiter, incidentally, represents uh, institutions of higher learning, and Uranus is like big change, big upset, right? So we see that going on, but this new moon can give us the opportunity to actually acquire something that is more of like a peaceful resolution, if we so choose, right? The accent is on evolution and changes in the environment. You may suddenly notice some new thing or situation that has been quietly developing or taking form for quite some time. Your greatest advantage lies in adjusting to changing circumstances. Identify the potential and your place in the new scheme of things. Start planning now. And so, even though it's Taurus, this talks about the advantage being your ability to adjust to changing circumstances. And again, like I said, Taurus is a fixed earth sign. Fixed signs don't change easily, but we've had some time. I talked about this in the beginning of the video. We've had some time with the changes and the upsets, and we've got Jupiter and Uranus there sort of giving that Taurus situation a little bit of a jolt, breaking things down a little bit, getting out of a habit, right? Or a mindset, or, so that we can move forward. So it's a good time to take advantage with what we have at our disposal here to actually break apart what we need to break apart. Be flexible, adopt new practices and move forward. This new moon is really good for being able to do that, for focusing on doing that. Remaining flexible is something that Taurus has to really work hard on. But I think, now it looks to me like now the universe is saying now is the time, right? To change the old stuff. Our old values need to go. Because, the things that we thought made us happy, or, that we could rely on to make us feel good, are on shaky ground or falling apart. So it's time to do something different. So I think more people are apt to be to move out of their comfort zone and be more adaptable when they've gotten a taste of, or they've seen that what they've stood on for so long, or what they've believed for so long, may not be able to serve them as well as it has in the past. So they got to do something different going forward. So it's a good time for that. Guard against making things more difficult for yourself by resisting change. Try not to expect the worst or fight what may turn out to be a change for the better. Stepping stones would be creativity, manifestation, establishment, innovation, novelty, originality, transformation, reconstruction, alteration, opportunity, revelation. So a lot of those words just, to me, sound like Scorpio words, right? We're going to pop the chart back up here for just a second. They sound like Scorpio words to me. Well, the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio. And so we don't experience a ton of any energy without looking at the polarity point, right? So we are talking about changing the past. We are talking about maybe losing something from the past, or there's some kind of transformation or death. So now's the time, and we've experienced all of that. We just had that full moon in Scorpio. So this is giving us an opportunity to sort of sink into the rebirth, or relax and absorb everything that's gone on, so that we can get started on the rebirth, which is coming for a lot of us, right? So that is the new moon in Taurus. It's a very nice new moon. We have another lunation at the end of the month that is in the sign of Sagittarius. Also another pretty nice lunation. It'll be a full moon in the sign of Sag. I think that's on May 23rd to sort of round out the month. And, we have other things going on too, because right after that full moon, we have Jupiter going into Gemini. And like I said, Jupiter in Gemini, that's an air sign, right? And Jupiter makes things bigger, right? And so, boy, I think our options are going to open. I think we're going to get a lot busier. The information is just going to start flooding in. And then we should really start that cycle of being off to the races here with Jupiter and Gemini. So enjoy this new moon in Taurus, this next 30 days that is likely to be more relaxing, right? Or feeling and relaxing, recovering possibly from something if we need to, but slowing us down a little bit, right? Giving us an opportunity to slow down just a little bit after the eclipse season. So thanks for being here. I appreciate all of you. Of course, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing, like and share the video, comment down below. I always appreciate that. Yeah, I will see you next time. Excuse me. Full moon in Sagittarius, if I don't get back before. And if you're interested in taking a look at your birth chart, please get a hold of me. My email and my website is down below. I'm going to be doing a little promo thing for readings here. And I'll either post something in my community page, or I'll do a quick short video on what that is here in the next week or so. Look for that, a special on readings. It's actually a fundraiser for my grandson's football team, but I'm going to offer it as a special to all of you for readings, and it'll be really, really good deal. So I'll throw something up about that shortly. Anyway, thanks so much. I appreciate you being here. Enjoy this new moon in Taurus. May the stars forever be in your favor. Take good care. Bye for now. Bye.